Yeah, good afternoon. It's a sad day here at our studio on the 18th of November, Tuesday. Very sad day, very interesting day though. And we have an hour we're going to analyze what took place in Jerusalem, 7,000 miles away from South Florida. Took place around midnight our time last night, 7 hours difference, around 7 a.m. Tuesday morning in Jerusalem. And I was there a day ago in Israel, running around the country, preparing for the tour we're going to take folks on, the fact-finding mission in March. And your knee-jerk reaction would be, Israel's too dangerous to go. And in fact, people are emailing me and telling me that's too dangerous to go to Israel. That's just exactly what the Islamic jihadis want. They want to isolate Israel from the rest of the world. Israel is indeed a safe country. There are dangerous areas, particularly within the Islamic sections, though this attack took place in an Orthodox Jewish section. But these are the times, that try men's souls. These are the times where we as Jews, as Christians, as good Americans, as Zionists, need to stand with Israel. It's very easy to stand with a friend or a loved one or a country when times are easy. But the real character of an individual is dependent upon whether or not you can stand with that individual, that other individual, or that country when times are difficult. And for those of you considering coming with us in March, this is the time where we gather together. When we go on these tours to find out about the hot spots so that we can come back and educate particularly politicians and the grassroots here to stand with Israel, where it's done in an extremely safe way. We don't do stupid things. But our show today is not so much about our fact-finding mission in March, as it is to try to understand what the heck is going on over there when two young Palestinians decide they don't want to live anymore. This was a suicide mission by design. They decided they don't want to live anymore, and they decided that their existence was of more value, not living and marrying and growing a family and having kids and trying to be productive in life, not staying single and getting an education and building a building that helps others, not becoming an athlete and participating in a way that entertains people. But they made the decision that there's more value in their existence in killing Jews than in being a productive member of the human race. And think about this. They had to select a target. And there's a lot of targets, particularly in the east part of Jerusalem, which is the Arab section of Jerusalem. A lot of Jewish targets there. But they decided to come over to the west side of Jerusalem and to kill Jews over on that side. But then they said, we need to make our miserable life have some sort of value for the Gazans and other Palestinians and other Islamic jihadis. Let's pick a religious building. Let's go kill religious Jews. Let's do it at the height of their prayer in the morning. Jews are required, Orthodox Jews, to pray 3 times a day, morning, afternoon, and evening. And in this synagogue, about 50 Jewish people were gathering. And the plan was to go in with low-tech weapons, no suicide belts, nothing like that. They're learning from the Islamic State syndrome, these young jihadis, that to wield a knife, in this case a butcher's knife, causes more destruction and more blood. If you're watching us on the UnitedWest.org, you're seeing unbelievably graphic footage of the scene taken and released, just recently released, so that all people worldwide can see the extent of this horror. The jihadis are learning from the Islamic State syndrome. the influence of the Islamic State, to be as brutal as possible, because that causes the knees to weaken of Westerners. Folks, we are in a civilization battle. There's a clash of civilizations. It's very simple. You could deny it if you want experientially, but you're denying the fact that at noon on a clear day, the sun isn't shining over your head. You could deny the fact that we're in a civilizational battle, but you're denying it academically and you're denying it theologically. We have the Islamic East, if you will, fighting against the Judeo-Christian West, clear as could be, articulated on this day, 18 November in Jerusalem at a synagogue. Well, we're going to look into these issues, and when I was over there recently, we made some contacts with folks in Jerusalem. We're going to have a live report in just a few minutes coming out of Jerusalem from a friend of ours who spends a lot of time on the Temple Mount and in different parts of Jerusalem, trying to bring back information to everyone. Hi, Tom Trento here on November 18, Tuesday, very sad day. And it's sad not just because very innocent people died, 3 of whom were Americans, but when you spend 10 days, as I did, and this was my 3rd trip over there, in Israel, and you go, whether it's up north in the Galilee area, whether you're in Tel Aviv, or whether you're in Rishon LeZion, a nice little suburb south of Tel Aviv, or whether you're down in Jerusalem or all the way down the bottom in Eilat or on the border of Gaza and some of the kibbutzes there, you see a vibrance of the Israelis. They have returned to their homeland. They are proud about their agricultural capabilities. They're proud about their building capabilities, their families coming. You go up into the Samaria area, and many Jews have returned there to build on their land, and there's a pride, not so much that they're better than anyone else, that's not the issue, but they're fulfilling the call of Hashem in their lives, and they're a happy, productive, vibrant people. And when you see an attack like this on such a small group of people, there's 7 million Jews in Israel, and about 15 million worldwide. There's more people in the state of Florida, 19 million, than all the Jews on the face of the earth. There's 1.3 billion Muslims, most of whom hate the 15 million Jews that exist. What the heck is all of this about? And why do they hate them? And you know what? When the Jews were not in their homeland before May 15, 1948, when they weren't there, when they were distributed as a result of the diaspora, 70 AD, when they were distributed throughout the world, there was still Jew hatred all over the place, having nothing to do with their homeland. There is an incipient, categorical hatred by many people for Jewish people, having nothing to do with the homeland. Don't ever believe this issue is an issue of land. It's an issue of Jew hatred. And every reasonable, responsible, and serious Christian needs to come and stand with Jewish people today.
No, a lot of it goes back to their self-proclamation that they love death more than we love life. That's
right.
They being the Arab world,
yeah,
the Muslim Arab world in particular, and they say it and they act it. And we have our guest live from Israel.
And we do. We have Jane with us, right?
Yes.
Hi, Tom.
There she is.
I don't see her. There she is. Hi, Jane. How are you?
Shalom from Jerusalem.
Shalom. Good to see you. We were, for the context for the show here, Tom Trento at 15 minutes after 4 o'clock on the East Coast. 7 hours later, it's 11 o'clock in Jerusalem right now. Jane, you're in Jerusalem, correct?
Yes, I am.
Great.
Yes.
For the sake of the show, I was there last week, actually a couple of days ago, and I met, in addition to the people we know, I met a group of very serious Christians who love Israel, love the Jewish people, and are there just serving in any way they possibly can. And one of whom was Jane. We're just using her first name today.
Yeah.
And Jane, tell us what you do in Israel.
Tom, I try to be a voice for the Jewish people in a world where the media is so biased against Israel. Every time you see something in the news, it's always blaming Israel. And there's a lot of good things happening here too that the rest of the world don't know. So I really am trying to, on one side, to speak up for the Jewish people, but also to comfort my people like God is telling us to do. So I have a small page that I write on every day about the Jewish people I meet, but also sharing news that people don't normally hear elsewhere. That's what I do.
I detect, Jane, a little accent. Are you from Brooklyn or the Bronx, or where are you from?
I'm actually a Scandinavian girl. I'm from Denmark.
Your blonde hair and green eyes would never give that away.
Never in a million years would I guess that. Never in a million
Is she
years.
related to Gert?
She's Gert's daughter, yeah.
She's a Scandinavian. You're from Denmark, and
Yes.
we met the other day in Israel. And Jane, myself, and Michael Ganone. You're going to meet Michael Ganone. In fact, I put up a short video a couple of days ago with Michael. We traveled up to Ariel. Tell the folks briefly about our trip to Ariel.
We had fun, Tom. We had fun. Well, the West, or the whole world likes to call this the West Bank. We call it Judea and Samaria. This is the place that a lot of people want to make a Palestinian state. But we went there to see this place. It's called the heartland of Israel, actually. So we went and we met a lot of people up there. We went to a factory to see how Jews and Arabs are working together in harmony, actually. Would you believe that? And we met a lot of nice people, and we went to a vineyard, and we just had a good time. And it's important that people go, and I want to say, come to Israel, and go visit Judea and Samaria. Go to Ariel. We went to the university, Tom. You have to remember, a city like Ariel is what your president called a settlement. But it's a city. It's a huge city. We went to the university. They have 15,000 students. It's a city. It's not a settlement. So we need to speak up of that. So I want to encourage people to come and support it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you are doing amazing work there. If you want, you can give out your Facebook page for people so they can see. Go ahead.
Well, thank you.
I don't want to get you in trouble with the bad guys, but you reveal as much as you want about what you do. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, my page is called Israel One Nation because I don't believe in a two-state solution. I believe all of this land is a covenant with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So I call my page Israel One Nation. So that's me if you look that up.
Israel One Nation on Facebook. We'll pull that up in a second and show the folks. What we're doing today, Jane, is we're covering the tragedy that occurred in Jerusalem. And without giving out too much, you live in the Jerusalem area, correct?
Yes, I do.
And we were with Jane and some others on a whole day trip up to the West Bank, looking at Ariel and other areas. Went to Nablus and Ho Haval, the vineyard there that a friend of mine, Tommy Waller, and his gigantic family of 11 kids and his lovely wife run. We're covering the tragedy today in Jerusalem, but we're also telling people that they ought not be frightened away from Israel because of these attempts by the jihadis to scare people away from Israel, that it is a safe country, safer than the United States in many, many respects, and particularly for tourists. If you're on a tour of any sort, you've got security, these areas are safe, and you're not even going to see any of this stuff. So that's part of what we're saying.
Well, can I make an analogy on that?
To stand firmly with Israel in these tough times.
Yeah, it would be like not going to Thanksgiving to Chicago because of the murder rate in Chicago. It's ridiculous not to do that. I mean, so
That's a great point.
Yeah.
If people are going to travel, Thanksgiving in the States is next Thursday. And if people are afraid to go to Israel because of this attack, no one should travel to Chicago on Thanksgiving.
It's high
because 500 people a year are getting killed in Chicago.
Yes.
So don't go there. So that's the situation. Hey, get us up to speed right now. It's 20 minutes after 4 o'clock on the East Coast. Tom Trento, WSBR Radio. We're live on the radio, 740 on your dial. We're also live on theunitedwest.org. You can Watch our show there. You can go to teapartycommunity.com, Tea Party Community. Great place, not just to watch the show, but it's a social communication entity. You can find wonderful patriots. It's the conservative patriots' answer to Facebook.
It is the Facebook for Islamophobes.
For Islamophobes. teapartycommunity.com. Jane, get us up to speed on what took place and what's happening right now, please.
Yeah. Well, as of 7 o'clock this morning, two cousins from East Jerusalem named Uday and Ghassan Abu Jamal went into a synagogue in Abu Nov. It's a religious area here in Jerusalem. And they went in with hatchets, they went in with knives, and they went in with guns. And they turned that synagogue into a slaughterhouse. And they just butchered all the people that they got close to. So 4 Jewish men were completely slaughtered to death. 8 is wounded, 4 of them very critically. And it turns out that one of these terrorists actually worked in the grocery store right next door to this synagogue. So he has been watching, when is a good time to plan this. So they knew that around 7 o'clock this morning, it would be a good time because there would be a lot of people worshiping. So, Tom, I have seen pictures of this, and I do not want to cry, but I have seen pictures of this. And there were rivers of blood in that place. These guys were in their tallits, their prayer shawls, just hacked to death, body parts, everything just laying all over the place. So this is what happened in Jerusalem today. This is the worst terror attack in years here in Jerusalem. Two of the guys who were killed were rabbis. No, go ahead.
No, we want to go through this in detail. Damon has a question first. Damon.
I'm reading on Israel National News. Terrorists' families celebrate pass out candies in Jerusalem.
Absolutely.
Is that really going on?
In Jerusalem or in Gaza?
Well, it says pass out candies in Jerusalem.
In Jerusalem?
Not in Gaza. It says in Jerusalem. That's why I'm asking. Is that possible?
Yes, because these guys were from Jabal, I don't know if I say this correct, but Jabal Mukhba neighborhood in East Jerusalem. So their families are out passing out candy. They are very, very proud of these guys. One of the terrorists was married with 3 children, and they are out celebrating them. They are saying these are martyrs. They did a good job, and they are saying they're doing this for the cause for us as Muslims, and because of what's going on the Temple Mount, so they are justifying it by doing that. And the relatives are saying we have thousands of other men who's just going to step up and do more attacks. So
it's very important. It's very important right now for our audience at 24 minutes after 4 o'clock on the East Coast. Tom Trento here, your host. We have Mark and Damon in the studio, a few others right outside here. We have Jane live from Jerusalem. Very important for our listening audience, driving in your cars, listening on your AM radios. For our viewing audience, extremely important to understand what's going on. We had an attack on a synagogue in Jerusalem, 2 jihadis essentially, one of whom was married with kids. And now the families, here's the critically important point. In this clash of civilizations, you got to understand this element. If you don't understand the element, if you do like President Obama and deny reality in his administration, or if you're actually encumbered and accommodating the Muslim Brotherhood's narrative in the White House, then you're certainly not going to get this right. We have a group of people that are celebrating the fact that innocent Jews, and from an Islamic point of view, Jihad point of view, there are no innocent Jews, but these folks were praying in the holiest of holies for them, their synagogue, praying. Young Arabs came over, Arab Muslims, slaughtered them, and now the families are celebrating the slaughtering of human beings like you would celebrate the slaughtering of a goat on the festival of Eid.
Or like normal people would celebrate the birth of a new child into a family.
Or the same reaction after. Now let's walk it back, guys. Walk it back. The same way they celebrated the downing of the Twin Towers. The same time they every single time an atrocity like this happens, these animals celebrate, and pass out candies. Come on, people.
We have a direct Weltanschauung, a direct worldview from Lower Manhattan on September 11, 2001, to West Jerusalem on the 18th of November, 2014. There is a worldview, a particular philosophy of life. In this case, it's Islam. It's not radical Islam. It's not extremist Islam. This is Islam qua Islam, Islam as Islam. Here is the Quran. This is where these individuals are getting their doctrinal basis for doing this. This is where they get their beliefs for their entrance into paradise now, to have sex. How screwed up can a religious system be? You can go kill innocent people while they're praying, and your reward is screwing a bunch of girls in heaven. Think that through. And you Muslims, you got to think through the reality of a system that teaches go kill an innocent human being while he's praying, and you can go get laid in heaven because of doing that.
Well, not only that, Tom, not only do you get 72 virgins, you get 10 virginal boys, too, as a man. Just to put that in the context, young men, as a man, you get 10 young virginal boys, too.
Now, here's the point we're making. The point we're making is that everybody wants peace. Jane is living in Jerusalem, been there for years. We've been going back and forth here. The Israelis, the expatriate Jews want peace. There's no question about that. The other side does not really want peace, particularly the leadership. They want to get rid of all the Jews, and that will just lead to the next part of the jihad. How in the world, now this is to the leaders out there. This is to the people driving in their cars. Maybe you're a Democrat, leftist, Jewish person in South Florida. Quite a few, about 500,000. You're listening right now to our show, and you're really upset as to what happened today, but you're an Obama supporter because he's got a nice smile, and he's a good guy, and he's going to give you health care, all of that. And your nation, the nation that your blood flows through your veins that you came from, is under not only an existential, but an experiential and an immediate danger from these jihadis. Yet you can't call this for what it is, and you can't take a stand to say the policies of this administration are harming Israel. We've got to stand firmly with Israel right now, stop this stuff, and forget about this nonsensical two-state solution. Jane, what are your thoughts?
Oh, I completely agree. I just read that your president says, no, calm down, calm down. I mean, would America calm down if this is happening in your country? This is absolutely pathetic. It's pathetic.
That is actually how this administration handles things when we have jihadis going nuts here. It's calm down and don't link Islam to it. So he is handling it the same way.
And I have
and put pressure on the Jews to make peace with people that want to kill you and then go have sex in heaven.
Yeah. I got a question.
But Tom, listen. 4 men were butchered today. 19 children lost their dads today. This is reality here in Israel. 3 of them was American citizens. They had dual citizenship. The other one was English. They made Aliyah, and they came here with the family. They were Jewish. They came here to make a home. And now 19 kids are without a dad. This is reality here in Israel. The 3 of them they were having, you know, how they get buried the same day, and it was in the same synagogue. They were murdered. They were butchered to death this morning. And this afternoon, 19 kids had to say goodbye to their dad in the same place. I was walking around the old city today just to get a feel of what's going on. And you know what? The Jewish people has to pick up. They clean up, and then they have to move on. They have to say, oh, this happened again, okay. But they can't give in to fear. This happens so often. They just have to say, okay, we clean up, and we move on.
Jane,
this is everyday life here.
Jane, correct me if I'm wrong. You spent some time, inside communities. You lived among them as a person as a woman, and describe to me, not just as a woman, but the anti-Semitism that you felt. Is that at the core of this genocidal anti-Semitism? In this culture.
She's not Jewish. She's a Christian.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
Well, but from her observation,
from
your experience, have you experienced?
Look like a Jew.
Have you
You
experienced?
know what? There are a lot of people here who has my last name being Jewish, so I got to check into this. But
Okay, you gotta
but
look into it, yeah.
But
I lived 5 weeks in an Arab city outside Jerusalem, and I want to say I did because I was blessed with a house out there. But it gave me an opportunity to go in and out with the Arab buses every day. I went through checkpoints every day. I was told I was staying in the house with an Arab Christian lady, and I want to stress out she was very, very nice to me. But she told me, do not even use the word Israel. You cannot even use the word Israel. This is Palestine. So everywhere I go, welcome to Palestine, welcome to the West Bank. When I went into shops, they had posters, stickers on the walls saying, boycott Israel, free Palestine. It's evil. I mean, I can't describe it any other way than saying it's evil. It's evil. It's evil. I live right next to the mosque. I had them blasted out into my house 5 times every day, and they had this huge poster going into the mosque with a big poster of a picture of Yasser Arafat, the terrorist Yasser Arafat, and Mahmoud Abbas, Abu Mazen, glorified like heroes. And I agree what you are saying. How can Israel negotiate with peace with people who glorifies death? They would rather kill Israeli children that more than they love their own kids.
But my basic question was: is this driven by anti-Semitism, a genocidal anti-Semitism similar to the Nazis?
Yes.
Absolutely.
I will say yes, because it's the same evil. The evil that was behind the Nazism, the Nazis, is the same evil, in my opinion, that's behind Islam today. I mean, this is the year 2014, and Jewish people are not safe in their own country. I, as a Christian, could not even speak up saying, I stand for Israel. I was told not to wear my ring with the smile or with my Star of David because, because of the way I look, I could just being portrayed as just a tourist staying in this city. But if I had said I'm a Christian, I stand with Israel, I don't think I would have made it out alive.
As a blonde-haired, green-eyed, Norwegian-looking woman, how were you treated?
Denmark.
Denmark. I'm sorry. Norwegian, same thing.
Same country.
How were you treated
Stupid Americans.
as a female inside that community for the 5 weeks? Were you treated with respect, or were you treated like something else?
There are two answers to this, because when I was going in the Arab buses, sitting in the buses, I don't know why Muslims think they can just walk up and touch me and touch my leg and touch my arm just because I'm not covered up like their women. So I had a lot of that coming at me. When I moved around the town, I got a lot of attention attention from the men. That's one side of it. The other side was when people, I went shopping there. I met a lot of people. The only reason, and I'm really stressing this, the only reason why they were good to me was because when they said, who are you? I didn't say, oh, I'm pro-Israel. I have this blog and I stand for Israel, because I don't think I would have made it alive. So they were nice to me because I said, I'm a tourist. And I just got housing here and I'm staying here. For the sake of my own security, I did not go into any debates because I don't think I would have made it alive. So they were nice to me because they thought I was a tourist.
All right, but let's tell the folks a little bit about what you do in addition to being an advocate for Israel and promoting Israel and speaking to people all over the country, different parts. You attended a funeral last week. Tell everybody about the funeral.
Yeah, well, like I just said, it was a horrible terrorist attack today, but we had several terrorist attacks last week. And there was a young soldier. He was not on duty. He was waiting at the bus station in Tel Aviv. And again, a Muslim just walked up to him with a big knife and just hacked him to death. And his funeral, because he was a soldier, he was led to rest at the Mount Herzl cemetery, the military cemetery here in Jerusalem. And that was my first funeral. And I don't want to cry, but I'm telling you, it broke my heart, Tom. It broke my heart. He had a twin brother. And that guy was just laying on his brother's grave, sobbing. And my Hebrew is not very good, so I didn't understand a lot of it. But I stood among 1,000 Israelis that attended that funeral, crying. Because when someone is killed here, Tom, It's our son. It's not like, oh, it was theirs. Israel is so tiny that when something like this happened to us. This is our son. So everybody was mourning. So I'm standing there, and out of respect for them, I actually decided not to with my camera film them. But I said, I got to share this with the world because this is so heartbreaking, and the world is taking side with, oh, boo-hoo, poor Palestinians. So I want to share the grief. So I took my camera and I just put it down in the ground, and I just recorded 1 minute of their family crying when the rabbi was saying a prayer. And all the people around me was just crying. And I shared to the world and I said, this is how Israel cry when they bury one of their sons. So it was so emotional that I can't describe it because it's so heartbreaking. And why was that soldier killed? Because he was Jewish. There's nothing else to say about it. And nothing justifies that. But I am here because I need you to see this. I need to show the world what happened here.
Think of the contradiction with what she just said about the people sobbing and weeping versus today with the Arab Palestinians celebrating. Think of that contradiction.
Pull the front page of Fox up. I got it here if you want it.
I can pull it up. I can if you have it.
Mine disappeared. You pull it up. We're going to show you right now at 37 minutes after 4 o'clock, the front page right now of Fox News, and there's we have Jane on Skype live from Jerusalem. We're reviewing the terrorist attack that took place in the west side of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is split in half. It ought not be. It's the eternal city of the Jews of Israel. It's the eternal capital. It's Zion. But as a result of the UN and some other entities, the city is divided right now with the Arab side, the eastern side, the Jewish side, the western side, though the control for the whole city is in the hands of the Israelis. And two Muslims came over from their side, the east side, went to the west side, went into a synagogue with medieval weapons, hatchets and knives. I think they had one gun. Slaughtered 4 Jewish people praying and injured, 12 or 13 more. Jane is giving us that on-the-ground experience. And what we're doing, folks, we're analyzing this and we're saying, don't fear being involved with Israel at this time. This is the time to draw near and support Israel. If you're going there, don't cancel your flights. If you have family there, don't worry about them. Right. Stand with Israel. That's right. Very, very important. But we're also saying, we have to wisely understand that if the Obama administration that patently hates Israel, he has been raised in a context, Obama, and educated in a context to hate Israel and to be a supporter of the Palestinians, whoever they may be, to listen to this administration forcing the Israelis to develop policies to accept terrorists as a state within their state is asinine. It's the height of foolishness. We need to rise up in the United States of America, put pressure on our politicians and this administration and the next administration, 721 days from today when it's elected, and say, forget about 2 states, 1 state, security for Israel. And you have to tighten down, folks, in Israel, tighten down against the bad guys trying to hurt you. But Jane, you spent a lot of time at this little place. Can you see it in my hands here?
I can see this. Yeah.
Tell the folks what this is and why you go up there.
Well, this is the Temple Mount, and I have been there 4 times now. And this is the holiest of the holiest place for the Jewish people. We know what the Bible say about this place, how the temple was built up there, how the Jewish people went up there to sacrifice, how God's presence, the God of Israel, was dwelling there. And for some reason, there's a lot of tension about this because the Jewish people call the whole compound Al-Aqsa. I decided I have to go see for myself. And again, because of the way I look, I can just walk around being a tourist. And one of the times I'm up there, they always scream, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. When you go up, there's a lot of women sitting around, and then the men are sitting around. So they started shouting. So I just took my camera. I'm walking down the stairs and I'm just letting my camera roll. And I noticed that I can see some men are pointing at me and they are standing up. And I'm keep rolling. I'm saying, oh, I think they noticed me. And all of a sudden I hear this man come up behind me and says, what are you doing? And I said, I'm just filming. So I said, what's going on? And he says, every time the Jewish people are coming up here, we shout Allah Akbar to intimidate them, to scare them. And my camera is just rolling. I said, you want to speak to my camera? And he said, yes. So he starts all these lies and propaganda, actually saying on my camera, the Jewish people are saying they had a temple up here. I don't know, it was 1 or 2. There never was a temple up here. It's a lie. There's no proof. There was a scientist saying just recently, and I don't know who that was, but that the Jewish people never found any proof of a temple. So this is ours. Al-Aqsa, this compound is ours. And I got the whole thing on tape. And then and another day I met a kid and he said, welcome to Jerusalem. Welcome to all of Palestine. And he says, you know what's going on? Because they started shouting Allah Akbar again. So he kind of took my hand and he says, don't worry, sister. It's because when the Jewish people are coming, we shout to intimidate them. Because Christians, and he said right to my face, the Christians are good friends. But the Jewish people, oh, we don't like them. We don't get along with the Jewish people because they come up here to throw stones at us.
Oh, God.
I'm like, are you kidding me? This 9-year-old. But this is what they're being told. It's lies, it's propaganda. It happens every single day on the Temple Mount. And I just want to go there because I want to document this as much as I want to pray and say this belongs to the Jewish people.
And at 42 minutes after 4 o'clock on the east coast of Florida, Tom Trento here, WSBR, you're listening. Live radio, 740 on your dial. We have Jane from Jerusalem. Jane, give out your Facebook page one more time, and let's get the folks going there. Because not only do you, in a very brave and courageous way, go to the Temple Mount by yourself and confront these jihadis, but you then take that video footage and put it up on your site for the world to see. What is your site?
It's very simple, Tom. It's just called Israel One Nation. I don't believe in a two-state solution. Israel One Nation.
All right, we're going to let you go in a second, but for the folks just tuning in on the radio or watching on the UnitedWest.org, there was a terrorist attack at midnight our time, 7 a.m. Israel time in Jerusalem. 2 Muslim jihadis attacked 10 IDF soldiers, in battle. Not really. 2 Muslim jihadis went into a synagogue and attacked Jews praying. This is a real courageous act when you think about it. To go into a synagogue where people are in a state of prayer, usually prone in some fashion, not looking around, completely undefensive, indefensive, no capability of defending themselves as they're in prayer. If you're watching our show right now, you're seeing graphic footage of the slaughter that took place and the pools and pools of blood. These brave Palestinians are being cheered in Jerusalem and Gaza, and people are giving out candy because they're having sex now in their perverted religious worldview with virgins in heaven because they killed Jews. Think about that. Think as to how you have peace with people that have these beliefs. It's incomprehensible and ought not dictate public policy, certainly geopolitical policy, Obama and the EU and the United Nations. Well, Jane is with us, and before you leave, give us a feel for what the city of Jerusalem emotionally is like right now.
Well, there was a prayer rally tonight at 5 o'clock at the Western Wall, organized by some of the people from Knesset. And now here at 7 o'clock, there's going to be a big demonstration at the big bridge in Jerusalem because people are outraged. I mean, this is crossing the line. And it's not that I want to neglect the other terrorist attack that happened the other day, but this is, I think the Israelis had enough. And having said that, like I said earlier, life has to go on. You still have to tuck in your kids. You still have to get up in the morning. Life has to go on. You can't live in fear. But like I said, I've been walking around, and there's a lot more police here today, and there's a lot more military in the streets, and they have to. But I want to encourage people, come. The Jewish people are watching now. The Jewish people are watching how the Christian world is going to react. Are you going to stay away of fear, or are you going to pull yourself together and say, I believe in the Bible, we stand with the Jewish people, we need to go to Israel, and you need to come here.
Amen.
Jerusalem
Yeah.
Jane.
Jerusalem Jane. Hey, great name for
And
you.
do you want to stay away from your brothers in Israel on Thanksgiving? And
Yeah.
that's what it amounts to.
Good point. Hey, Jerusalem Jane,
Yeah.
can you go shoot some footage? Can you go shoot some footage for us, and we'll show it tomorrow on the show?
Okay.
You want to do
I will.
that?
Yeah.
Stay
You want to
safe.
go? You want me to go to the Temple Mount, or where do you want me to go?
No. These rallies for you this evening is a 7-hour time difference here. Are you planning on attending those?
Actually, that's now, Tom, because it's 7:30 here
Yeah,
now.
okay, it's a different time. I will
It's
tell
a
you
different-
what. You, in the next day or so, go
Yeah.
get any kind of footage you think would be interesting to our viewers here, and
Yeah.
we will put your videos up, okay?
We have a
you. I will.
correspondent.
Jerusalem
Another
Jane.
correspondent.
Now, wait, we got to give her a lesson. Here's your iPhone.
You're right.
Don't take the videos like this. You know this. She was taking videos for me the other day.
Right.
Take it like this. Hold it steady.
This is
I did.
Don't
activism
put your
training.
finger in front of the lens, okay?
I'll do a good job.
Okay, we know you will.
All right, Jerusalem Jane.
Jerusalem Jane, we
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.
We love you. We're praying for you. You take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Jerusalem Jane, ladies and gentlemen, at 47 minutes after 4 o'clock on WSBR
nickname.
Radio. And if you're watching the UnitedWest.org, TeaPartyCommunity.org, or Breitbart TV, any of those outlets and many others. Great. Isn't she great?
Awesome.
A lot better looking you are, Tom. That's
She's
for
a
sure.
brave lady. She is, for all you wimps out there getting frightened about going to Israel because of all this, these occurrences, you got a single, blonde, attractive lady walking around Jerusalem, not afraid because she believes God has called her to do this work. So suck it up, folks. Get over there. Stand with Israel, particularly those of you who are getting concerned about coming on our fact-finding mission. We have never lost a person. We're not going to lose you.
No,
and things are safe.
Stand with your family in Israel.
I want to get you guys your thoughts on Jerusalem Jane, and then we got to show you some really bizarre cartoons that are
Yeah,
popping up.
it just, I love it coming from a woman's perspective. I love it because they experience that sexual harassment, that sexual, molestation of everyday. It just really goes into the mindset of the male Muslim youth and his desiredness of 72 virgins, and the way he thinks of Western women as nothing more than whores and sluts. That's exactly what
They
goes through
should
his
stay
mind.
covered up if they do not want to be touched.
And my wife went through that same experience in France, and it's just there's something inside that whole culture that the brain is just tweaked the wrong way, and they think women are property and Western women are meant to be sexually molested, grabbed, and molested.
Well, if you think about the Judeo-Christian worldview and the biblical material, the doctrinal material, sexuality is, this is according to the scriptures, Jewish and Christian, it's the pinnacle of sharing of two human beings in a committed relationship, in a identified relationship called marriage. And it's designed obviously for procreation, for being fruitful and multiplying, but also for the experience, the joining together spiritually, physically, and the wonderful experience of that. That is the context for sexuality. In that context, the embers, the heat of proper sex is a phenomenal experience for two people committed in that kind of ceremonial religious relationship. If you take that experience, the fires, the embers of that, and you start spreading them around, and you move into the context of Islamic sexuality, where the pinnacle is not a joined relationship between a man and woman in marriage, but the pinnacle of sexuality in the Islamic context is sex in heaven with virgins after you kill human beings.
With an eternal heart-on.
You go, what is this? But now follow
That is why we like death more than you like life. Our death is much
I
better
guess
than our
so,
lives.
Imam Abdul. But follow the thinking for a second. So you got a 14 or 15-year-old Muslim kid where the hormones are going nuts like every human being.
Right.
And then their doctrinal system, Islam says, no.
You can't have it.
Yeah, the ultimate display of this is, your family will tell you if you're getting married or not, but the ultimate display is in paradise. You're fixated then on sexuality in paradise. Now, how hard would it be to control somebody's behavior by saying, you want that?
You want that? You want that?
Just got to jump through a couple of hoops.
People
Kill
say,
those Jews
and
over
people
there,
say
you got
that-
it.
And people says, well, no, they don't believe that. I go, yes, they absolutely do. To the point where we're over in Israel talking with Mark Kahlberg and the National Police Force, where they're saying the suicide bombers, that one they caught who
This is bizarre. What Mark's going to tell you right now
This is a
really
bizarre story. He goes, before he was going to blow himself up, but his trigger mechanism failed. They captured him and caught him, and they're disrobing him, checking him for other bomb materials, and they find that his pants is filled with tissue paper. And they're asking him,
tinfoil, too.
and tinfoil too. And they're going, what is going on? Why would you do that? And he goes, well, I have to protect my genitals when I get my 72 virgins. Otherwise, so I packed them up all to protect them.
You have to protect your junk, otherwise how are you going to have sex into heaven?
This is
true.
Ladies and gentlemen.
This is not a made-up
joke.
story.
2 years ago, we were the United West. We had a team of 10 people studying suicide bombing throughout Israel during the first and second Intifada. And we were briefed by police departments, and this is one of the stories they told us. It doesn't matter if you believe this or not, it's irrelevant. This is doctrinal Islam, and don't listen to the new terrorist organization CARE when they tell you that's not what the Quran says. This is doctrinal Islam, and this is what's motivating the jihadis worldwide, not just in Israel. Oh, my word.
And that's why it's so easy for them to recruit. If you say, hey, you get to rape, murder, steal, and you're not punished for it, but you're rewarded for it, why do you think that ISIS or IS is growing at the magnitude that it is?
Right.
I mean, you get to...
Like
it is
20-year-old kids, primarily.
You tell an 18-year-old that you get to go hop in a Toyota with a machine gun, kill people, chop their heads off,
And they get 72 virgins.
rape their wives, their daughters, steal every possession that you like, and you get rewarded in heaven. Who's going to say no to
Who's going to
that?
say no? And what's important for our audience who's listening at 53 minutes after 4 o'clock, you got to understand the individuals we're talking about have been raised from day one in this context. And for the most part, Islam has been isolated from the Western world. Now, the advent of this kind of stuff, that's changing, but they've been isolated, and this is their structured, solidified belief context. That's why we have a clash of civilizations. But what's interesting is this clash is seeping over into this country via conduits like Council on American Islamic Relations. We're going to introduce this concept and pursue it tomorrow. But what we have right now in Missouri, in the St. Louis area, in Ferguson, is a grand jury about to determine whether or not the police officer, Wilson, I think his name was, Darrell Wilson, was guilty of any crime in shooting
Michael Brown.
Michael Brown. And over the past several months, you're listening to this? This is so crazy.
Right.
Over the past several months, a terrorist organization, Council on American Islamic Relations, identified as a terrorist organization by the United Arab Emirates just a few days ago. This organization out of Washington, D.C., headed up by Nihad Awad, its director, its executive director.
Jihad and Dawa.
Jihad Dawa.
This organization is now standing with the rabble-rousers, the Al Sharptons in Ferguson, and standing in solidarity, looking for justice against the white man cop. This is what CARE is doing right now. So you got to ask yourself a philosophical question. Why the hell is CARE, a Muslim civil rights group, standing...
Terrorist group.
Yeah, terrorist group. Standing, I did civil rights like this. Standing
I see you.
in Ferguson. What is all this about?
It's the clash of civilizations. It's destroying our own house from within with our miserable hands.
We're going to piece that together on tomorrow's show, on Wednesday's show. Fascinating link. And for you individually, for every American who's listening on the radio or watching, this is vitally important to your own national security concern and protection and your existence as a religious person here in the United States, or even not as a religious person. How CARE is now leveraging the instabilities in the United States for eventually a destabilization of the whole area, and then to bring Islam in as the solution.
And in that community, it'll end up being Prislam, as opposed to
We're going to bring that in
Islam.
Tomorrow and develop that. So it's so critically important from a geopolitical national security perspective. We're going to bring that in. But right now, I want to end this hour on these cartoons that are now going around Israel. It's a series of cartoons, and for you radio audience, we're going to explain them to you. For you viewers, you're going to be so appalled at this it isn't funny at 56 minutes after 4 o'clock. Let's each take one of these cartoons and describe it. Damon, why don't you start with
this is what this is. It's a cartoon. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 dead Jews on the floor. You can tell they're Jews because they're wearing kippas.
And there's a menorah.
Okay, and a pool of blood and a menorah, and there's a Jewish star on the wall. So it's clearly in a synagogue. And there is a terrorist. We know he's a terrorist because he's wearing a red and white checkered keffiyeh over his face and neck and a hat, and he's got a bloody knife in his hand as if he had just slaughtered Jews. You have 2 Jews running away, one with out the door, and then one
with a video
going the
camera.
other way.
With a gun.
Yeah, with an Uzi, and off to the side here is another terrorist, which what looks like a gun. So basically, they are glorifying the slaughter of Jews in a synagogue, which is exactly what happened yesterday.
This cartoon was drawn
Beforehand.
No. This was drawn
After?
Immediately
These
after.
cartoons have
After.
just been drawn. Yeah.
Oh, you're kidding me. I didn't know that.
This whole series of cartoons were made celebrating this. Go to the next one. Mark, you explain this one. This is amazing.
This is a red off the left is a blood stain where the people were obviously killed and drug across the floor.
For 40 feet.
For 40 feet. And off to the left is the actual picture. And off to the right is a red, like a red carpet going into...
Like for the Oscars.
Oscars with, banners with a red rope going next to it, celebrating that this is a glorified...
And the caption is the red carpet. So what they're doing is they're comparing the red carpet and velvet ropes at, say, the Oscars to what is a blood-stained hallway where a body's been dragged. So it's absolutely perverted. Sick.
I mean, this is right out of the Third Reich.
It really is.
It really is. And there's another one with a bloody hatchet, coming. What's that?
Cleaver.
Cleaver.
A butcher's cleaver.
A butcher's cleaver. Well, go ahead, Tom. Explain it.
Well, there's an arm coming out holding a butcher's cleaver, big. These graphics are beautiful. They're
I know they're well
full color. They're well done. And there's blood dripping from the knife edge, the sharp edge of the cleaver. But on the meat cleaver is Al-Aqsa Mosque and on one side and the Dome of the Rock on the other side. And they're saying that we will chop the heads off and slaughter Jews in protection of the Temple Mount. That's what they're saying. All right, look, we got to wind this up right now.
I mean, it's just really out of the Nazi Third Reich cartoons. You couldn't have made them any better. Real quick on this one, Tom.
Well, no, we gotta
real quick with the hatchet on the front of the car to run over people. It's sick. It's sick.
Yeah, the whole thing is sick. We're gonna continue this tomorrow. Make application for us here in the United States But a couple of seconds left in the show. Tom Trento saying goodbye. WSBR 740. Our thanks to Jerusalem Jane, who did a great job. Our prayer go out to the folks in Israel and the United States. We must stand with Israel now. President Obama.
Get a clue.
We got to get a clue. All right, guys. See you tomorrow. Take care.